Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our third webinar on the built environment during the pandemic crisis. My name is Michael Stevens. I am responsible for communication in Ramboll Buildings. I will try to guide you through the day without too many sort of technical glitches and facilitate it. I have a couple of people who will be helping me along the way. Today we have 4 speakers. First we have thank you, just a second. First, we have Amy Show from Mass Design, who will present a case from the US on how the hospital there has fared. Afterwards, we'll have Birgitte Gade from Arkitema Architects, who will sort of talk about the learnings from the Scandinavian hospitals. Then we have Nirit Pilosopov from Cambridge University, who will share some experiences from telemedicine usage in Israel. And at the end, we will have Eduardo Chileruelo Teran from Cinque Arquitectos, who will share some experience from Spain. Sorry for the pronunciation. It's not always that easy with all these different names, but it shows how broad it is, the picture we're trying to get here together. We aim to have 15 minutes of presentation from each presenter. Afterwards, we would like to have some time for questions and answers. And to do that, I would like you all to use the questions pane, the chat box, where we will sort of monitor what kind of questions come in. Everyone will be muted at first, but you can ask all the questions you want during the session. We'll try to sort of bundle them together and get through all of them. If not right after the presentation, then at the end, hopefully. Or finally, maybe if we don't manage to get it, we'll try and sort of see if we can follow up afterwards if there's some really interesting questions. We will record this session and we will then share it with everyone who signed up. So please be on your best behavior, all of you. And before we get started, I just wanted to guide you through a few ground rules. Just a second here. I will share my screen. Can you see my screen now, everyone? There we go. You should be able to see my screen. And this is just some basic, sorry. So basically, you will all be muted. We can't see your camera. We can't see your face. There will be no questions. As I mentioned, we will then also, during the session, we will also ask for your feedback. We want to have it a bit interactive, and we will use this called Mentimeter. I would like to start with Flemming Schmidt, my colleague from Ramboll Hospitals, and Saga Karlsson from White Architects, who will sort of introduce the project, what it is, the purpose of the Relocate, Repurpose, and Reorganize session is. And I will just go over to you now. Let's see. There we go. Flemming, I think the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah, as Michael said, my name is Flemming Schmidt. I'm the Global Market Director in hospitals in Ramboll. And I sort of started this initiative up. And if you go to the next slide, Michael, I will give you a brief introduction of how it really started. Back in March, when the pandemic started to pick up and everybody was running around, knocking on doors, trying to help out locally, we sat down and thought we really wanted to make some kind of a different initiative that would be of a more international scale. And in this, I started to discuss how to do this both internally, but also with Walker Project and EU HPN, Jonathan, who both helped out in maturing this idea. And the overall idea was basically trying to make some kind of a guideline to prepare and to build facilities for the pandemic. And Michael, if you go to the next slide, I'll just say a few words on how this organization is or project is built. We are like 4 parties in this. The EU HPN Walker project was the initial one, but White Architects approached us and said, "Hey, this is a great initiative. We would like to join in on the team." And since we really needed different perspectives and approaches to clients, hospitals, and the general environment, we really thought this would be a really good and diverse project team for this. The funding for the project is given by the Ramble Foundation, who supports society initiatives. So this is basically or completely a non-profit initiative, sorry. And this is what we are trying to focus on. And Michael, if you turn to the next slide, talking about the goals of this project. The overall goal is to create a platform for sharing knowledge of the COVID-19 and to do it with a strong focus on resilience. And this is basically what the idea is built around. To go more into details about it, it's to compare and contrast the different strategies used across the globe, or internationally at least, to get a deeper understanding of the choices who's been taken, and to derive common elements of success factors in this, and not least to advance research and exchange in terms of standardization of the pandemic care units. If you turn to the next slide, Michael, talking about resilience, we've been trying to really frame this resilience into some parts of it, and you can just pop through this one. It needs to be filled out. Resilience to us is divided into four major. Oh, that's one too much. Four major areas around staff, around systems, around space, and around supply chains. And that's basically, as we see it, what's covering all of the resilience needed for hospitals, and especially compared to the situation we are in right now. That said, if you go to the next slide, Michael, right now we are at the third webinar on this, and aiming for the fourth one in November. And as you can see at the headlines here, we are this one focusing on space from the resilience part, and the next one will be on healthcare ecosystems. That said, I will hand over to Saga, who will tell a little about the results of the project. Saga?
Thank you, Flemming. I will continue to talk a little bit about the result of the project, but before, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Saga Karlsson, and I'm the Head of Research and Development for Healthcare Building at White Architects. I've been working with healthcare architects for almost 10 years now. And I think long before the pandemic came, this has been one of my interests in looking into how architects have dealt with changes in healthcare building. And last year, I actually finished my licensing thesis focused on future-proofing approaches in healthcare building. So with that said, I'm very much looking forward to listen to our speakers today. But well, that's about me. Our goal in this project, or the result, is to publish a field guide with learnings from real cases, and a field guide that can help stakeholders with decision within the topic that we are studying. It is also a framework for planning and action. And our stakeholders are senior hospital managers and directors, board members of hospitals, hospital planners, architects and engineers, policymakers or politicians involved in the pandemic response. But one can also add policy analysts, and I would like to, in this list, also add maybe academians that could be interested in this. In the field guide, we will focus on the challenge and context, processes to the solution, and the solution itself and its effect and outcomes. So if you could please switch page now, Michael. Our ambition is to collect more than 40 case studies, predominantly from Europe, But if we find interesting examples, I think, for example, the case that Mats will show today, we have said within the group that we will allow them into the field guide as well. Because as a result, the field guide will be published on an interactive web page, and as more cases that we can have, as better, I think it is. So the interactive web page will show the field guide, but also the different cases and the presentations from our webinars. So if you missed one of the webinars that we had before, you can always go into the web page when it's finished. Could you please change slides, Michael? But in order to finish this practice-based research project, we are now asking for your help. If you have a project or a case that you think might be interesting for us, please contact any of us and we will submit it for you. If you're interested to be part of the peer review group when this is almost finished, you could also contact us. You're very welcome to do so. Could you please change slide, Michael? And now for today's focus, I have to start to say that I heard most of today's speakers in other forum, and we are very happy to present these excellent speakers here today. When inviting the speakers, we have asked them to answer in following questions. We have asked them to respond to how the built environment has been dealing with the architecture, with the hospital itself, and how it have dealt with the pandemic cases. So if we can please take the next slide. There, the question came. Thank you. And how were the clinical and non-clinical spaces done, and associated logistic and technical solutions? How they were relocated, repurposed, or reorganized, and the keys to success and the barriers of it, and the lessons for the future. So I hope our speakers will be able to talk about this today, and I hope you in the audience have a lot of questions to them. So let's start with the first speaker. Thank you.